You sit on the edge of the couch. The television hums quietly in the background. You glance over and feel completely alone. They offer nothing but a quiet shrug. You stare down at your hands and wonder, why does it always end like this? Am I the actual problem here? Did I just settle for much less? You are asking the entirely wrong question. Distance does not mean the love faded completely. It actually means their nervous system stopped feeling safe enough to stay close. You are not failing at love today. This does not mean you chose poorly initially. Every couple that ever loved deeply has stood exactly where you are standing right now. By the time this ends, you will recognize the quiet signals of true commitment. You will learn how to meet them without pushing them away. Let's get into it. Most couples believe communication fixes everything eventually. They think talking longer will naturally rebuild the broken bridge between them. But the real truth is much quieter than that. Your partner's nervous system reads your energy before their logic can process a single word you say. When safety leaves a room completely, the love never actually vanishes from sight. It simply hides beneath the surface of daily routines and quiet habits. What looks like cold withdrawal usually masks deep emotional overwhelm inside them. They are not shutting down to intentionally hurt you in any way. They are just using silence to protect a flooded nervous system from drowning. You cannot demand genuine presence from someone who feels completely unsafe right now. You can only build a steady environment where their guard naturally drops over time. This is not about changing their core personality against their will. It is about shifting the emotional frequency between you both toward safety. That single foundation changes everything that follows in your relationship. And every point we explore flows directly from this quiet truth today. Here's the part no one talks about openly. Most couples wait for huge romantic gestures daily. They expect love to announce itself with loud declarations of devotion. Not bigger arguments, not more compromising, not scheduling a weekly relationship check-in,
but two people who actually feel safe enough to be honest with each other for the first time.
The avoidant who knows you're theirs starts differently. They make tiny, consistent bids for your attention without pressure. Their nervous system finally maps safety onto your steady presence. You notice it in the random text they send unexpectedly. You see it when they linger a little longer in the doorway. In a broken cycle, they hear criticism in every gentle question. In a healing rhythm, they receive genuine warmth from your words instead. This isn't a manipulation tactic you can force. It is what happens when someone stops guarding their heart completely. And when you receive those small moments as intentional, the walls fall away without you even asking. And this is where it gets really interesting for you. Most people in relationships push for forced vulnerability constantly. They assume sharing deep feelings requires direct pressure and careful scheduling. But an avoidant who found their person shifts inward naturally. They start offering unrequested emotional updates freely. Not because they were cornered into speaking, not to impress you with sudden emotional depth, because they finally feel safe enough to be fully seen by you today. Your consistent warmth teaches their brain to stop fearing emotional exposure. You hear it when they quietly share a hidden worry about work. Instead of keeping their stress locked away, they let you witness it fully. Her internal voice quietly registers, "He actually heard me this time." This isn't a communication hack you learned online. It is just what emotionally mature people naturally do together. That is the shift that turns drifting uncertainty into steady refuge for both of you. Here's the truth most couples completely miss today. Most couples confuse fierce protectiveness with emotional distance regularly. They assume staying completely independent means never letting the other person in. But the avoidant who knows you're the one lowers the drawbridge slowly. They do it piece by deliberate piece over quiet months. Not by oversharing everything at once. Not by forcing uncomfortable closeness immediately. Just by letting you witness their unfiltered reactions to daily life.
Their nervous system stops treating intimacy as a sudden threat to manage. You will notice it when they stop deflecting your gentle invitations. Instead of keeping future plans strictly vague, they commit fully to them. In a guarded cycle, they say, "I just need some space tonight." In a connected space, they say, "Actually, I would really love to join you." His quiet realization hits, "I do not have to hide anymore." And here's what changes everything. When you meet that softness with equal presence, the entire dynamic shifts quietly. That is when your partner stops feeling like a puzzle and starts feeling like home. But here's what nobody explains about friction between you. Most couples believe love means zero arguments ever. They think healthy relationships naturally avoid tension and loud moments completely. But the avoidant who sees you as forever stays engaged during conflict. They stop using physical distance as a shield during heated moments. Not by becoming perfectly calm instantly. Not by trying to win every debate fairly. Just by returning to you when the emotional storm finally passes completely. Your steady warmth teaches their body to settle much faster today. You see it when they stop disappearing for painful days without warning. Instead of leaving you in anxious limbo, they communicate clearly first. In a reactive cycle, they say, "I simply cannot handle this right now." In a healing rhythm, they say, "I need 20 minutes, then I will come back." Your nervous system quietly logs, "He is staying even when it is hard." And here's what changes everything. This isn't a conflict resolution trick you can practice alone. It is what it looks like when someone learns to love without losing themselves. That is how you turn friction into a bridge instead of a barrier. Honestly, most relationships stall right at this exact threshold. Most people in relationships mistake logistical planning for real commitment today. They assume buying plane tickets automatically means building a shared life together. But the avoidant who knows you're the one weaves you in naturally. They do it through steady, practical alignment over quiet months. Not with heavy pressure about major milestones. Not with empty future promises meant to soothe you temporarily. Just with everyday choices that quietly prioritize your needs alongside theirs. Their nervous system reads consistency as permission to attach much deeper now. You notice it when they ask your honest opinion first, or when they adjust their busy schedule to match your quiet goals. In a drifting dynamic, they keep all their plans strictly separate, always. In an anchored dynamic, they ask, "Where do you see us in 2 years?" Her inner thought whispers, "I finally feel chosen for the long term." And here's what changes everything. This is not about forcing rigid timelines on anyone unexpectedly. It is about showing up as someone genuinely ready to stay today. That is the shift that turns a temporary arrangement into a lifelong anchor. This is where it gets really interesting for you both. Most people in relationships chase matching schedules and forced hobbies. They push shared activities until both partners feel completely exhausted daily. But the avoidant who has found their harbor tracks you differently. They learn to read your emotional weather before you even speak, not by guessing your needs constantly without rest, not by absorbing all your stress for you entirely, just by learning how to hold quiet space without fixing it immediately. Their nervous system finally maps your distress to genuine connection instead. You will see it when they notice your heavy sigh today. They simply ask, "Do you want advice or just company right now?" In a disconnected pattern, they panic and shut down completely instantly. In a connected rhythm, they say, "I am just going to sit right here with you." Something in them quietly says, "She doesn't need me to fix this." And here's what changes everything. This is not an empathy training module you memorize quickly. It is what aligned humans do when they stop competing for space. That is when the empty space between you stops feeling lonely and feels sacred. Here's the part no one talks about openly today. Most couples believe strength means keeping pain completely hidden away. They think showing weakness ruins the romantic illusion entirely for good. But the avoidant who found their harbor stops performing invincibility. They let you witness their genuine soft spots very slowly. Not by breaking down emotionally every single day, not by overcompensating heavily for past mistakes constantly, just by trusting you with their unspoken fears right now. Their nervous system stops treating raw honesty as a sudden liability. When they finally admit they are struggling, it feels profoundly real. In a guarded cycle, they deflect with casual excuses quickly, always. In a secure rhythm, they say, "I am overwhelmed and I will not hide it." His quiet realization hits, "She will not use this against me later." And when you hold that truth gently, everything softens between you completely. This isn't about extracting secrets or demanding transparency constantly. It is just what emotionally honest people do when safety replaces fear. That is the moment the relationship stops feeling like an exhausting performance. Here's the thing most couples completely overlook daily. Most relationships run on strictly parallel tracks from morning to night. Both partners fiercely protect their own routines until convenience forces merging. But the avoidant, who knows you're theirs, rearranges priorities deliberately. They weave your needs into their everyday choices naturally today. Not by sacrificing their core identity entirely for you, not by dropping all their close friends abruptly without warning, just by treating your well-being as essential to their own peace. Their nervous system stops reading compromise as painful personal loss, finally. You will notice it when they cancel plans to quietly support you, or when they check on your stress before managing their own tasks. In a disconnected pattern, they say, "I simply do not have the bandwidth." In an aligned rhythm, they say, "Let us figure this out together today." Her quiet thought registers, "Turning toward me feels like coming home." And here's what changes everything. This isn't a scheduling hack for busy couples anymore. It is what happens when love stops feeling strictly finite now. That is the shift that turns daily compromises
into continuous acts of choosing. This is the final layer you need to understand fully. Most people in relationships mistake strict routine for real connection. They think doing the exact same thing proves deep commitment automatically. But the avoidant who knows you're theirs embodies quiet reliability completely. They stop performing loyalty publicly and start living it privately. Not by checking in constantly out of heavy obligation, not by promising daily perfection you cannot possibly keep. Just by showing up steadily when life gets genuinely messy unexpectedly. Their nervous system finally settles into lasting emotional calmness completely today. Emotional distance isn't like a solid wall blocking your path forward. It is scar tissue that forms slowly over 100 unrepaired moments. They understand that heavy truth completely by now. You see it when they follow through without gentle reminders daily. In a drifting space, they say, "I will handle it much later, always." In an anchored space, they say, "I have already got this covered for you." Her internal thought quietly registers, "I do not have to carry it alone anymore." And when you witness that steady presence daily, you both finally exhale. This isn't about proving loyalty through grand gestures publicly. It is just what deeply committed partners naturally do privately. That is the shift that turns fragile connection into an unshakable foundation. This isn't a checklist for fixing someone else entirely today. It is an invitation to show up differently yourself consistently. You will stop reacting to their sudden distance and start responding with steady presence. When you internalize this truth deeply, your entire energy shifts completely. Your partner will feel the difference before you ever say a single word. You become the safe harbor they were secretly searching for all along. Love is not what you stumble into by pure accident alone. It is what you build intentionally, one quiet choice at a time. Real intimacy doesn't start when you finally find the perfect match today. It starts the exact moment you decide to become that person yourself.